Community action plans have been prepared by many rural communities across Scotland over the last 25 years as a way of setting out their own aspirations for their future. Plans have been used to organise and focus community action, to attract funding and support for community priorities, and to strengthen communities' ability to make representation on their own behalf. Rural Perth Kinross Leader and Perth Kinross Council have now set up a programme of support for rural communities that want to prepare or even renew their own community action plans. Crucially, plans are a way of engaging people in an open conversation about their place and what matters to them. The Rural Perth Kinross Community Action Planning Programme is there to help communities carry out that important community engagement work. Here are stories from some of the communities that have taken part in the first round of the programme.
The town already has a community action plan which is now 3 to 4 years old, and so when we were made aware by Perth Kinross that this funding was available to review and expand community plans, we got involved very quickly, engaged with quite a number of the other community groups in the town.
The community action plan is, as is suggested, it's all about the community, and that's not just for one or two, it's all the community. Whether you've just been here a year or whether you've been here like me a substantial amount of more years than that. It's also given us the opportunity to mix with other groups and organisations within the town and interconnect with what the possibilities of not just football down here at the park, but the development of the park.
We were fortunate in that we'd done one before, so we had a pretty good idea how to do it. We've had funding from LEADER and from the Scottish Government to employ a coordinator who's been fantastic, because it does take quite a lot of time to do the interviews, to process the work, all the recordings, and to put things together. So there is government funding, there are local funds available for these things.
I think having a focus of a community action plan just does that. It sort of focuses everyone's attention on the next 5 years. Obviously quite a lot's happened in the last couple of years already, what with the square and now with the Burnside. And so this is, I suppose, the next step. It's about what other projects, what sort of big projects can the town all get behind.
As a community connector, my role is basically to work with various community groups, and what I'm doing is I'm interviewing those community groups to get their ideas about what's good in the community, what they want to see happen in the community in the future. And it's all to do with working with as many groups as possible to get as wide a representation of community views as possible.
One of the big things that we're doing for accessibility is having community action plan pop-up stalls. They can come and we can fill in a survey for them. They tell us their answers, but we're also treating it as like a pop-up focus group. So by doing this, they can come, and if they only have one thing that they're very passionate about and might not fill in an action plan for any reason, we can at least record it and say, this was said to us at the pop-up stall on Tuesday 24th at 10 AM. So we have that record when we're making our community action plan.
Welcome to our garden!
I was approached for the community action plan by Caroline Murphy, who's currently on the board. I think they just wanted a different perspective, just so they had like a full breadth of people from different ages, different backgrounds, so we get a full appreciation of what everyone in Crieff wants, obviously from all aspects of life.
When I moved into Crieff, the first thing I saw was sunshine and lots of happiness. I like that there's just lots of space and and a school for us all, and other things for us to learn and find out.
I think that there is quite a lot of facilities that young people can use, but we can always improve on that, and I would love to see a lot more in Blairgowrie that encourages more young people to enjoy sport, because I think there's a kind of, when you get to exam stage and everything, life kind of takes over. But if there was this really modern place that young people could just go to relieve some stress, it would be absolutely great, and I think it would really encourage more people to enjoy sport and not just give up their ambitions within sport.
the young people that we work with. By talking with them about what they want more from the community, we can obviously relay that, but then we can also encourage them to take part in the reviews and the surveys as well. So they are directly being involved in the future. When I say they, I mean like young people. The young people will be taking the surveys themselves, so the improvements that will hopefully be happening will be straight from the young people's mouths.
In Ailith there's a lot of fun parks, places to walk. I really like the shops in the burn.
The things I want to see in Ailith are a skate park and a football pitch.
Well, the last community action plan didn't actually include any environmental situation. This one does, so we're very pleased that we're able to connect with other groups in our community. And we've also developed very close links with the climate action team of Perth Kinross Council, and also with our local councillors and other groups in our community, really to spread the word that climate is such an important aspect to our lives and that we have to put environment at the centre of every decision that's made.
So the process of developing the plan has meant that everybody in the community has had an opportunity to either feed in right from the beginning by completing a survey form and giving their views, or getting involved as a stakeholder, so they've been interviewed as a stakeholder. But probably more importantly, once all the views that have come out of the survey are put together, anybody in the community can then vote on priorities, comment on them, or even add other issues that they've come across. So it's a good inclusive process because it's not just one point of influencing. They can be involved right through. By the time you've got your actual community action plan, you can be fairly confident that everybody's had an opportunity to feed in, so the ownership of the plan very much lies with the community.
I think when action's taken on a community level, there'll be ripples from that, and if lots of different groups are doing similar things, seeing that's taking place might give a group the confidence to maybe apply for some funding to get their project off the ground. But the saying of think global, act local, I think that's very appropriate here. So people may not think that they can do much personally, certainly thinking about environmental issues, but every small thing adds up, and the small things add up to fairly substantial action. So I think the CAP can help people to make a bigger impact.
Not surprisingly, a lot of the themes are the same as they were last time, maybe even more, like the traffic through the town, because we now know of the pollution levels in the town. The need to try and enhance the town centre, the buildings, but a sense that some of that is starting to work. A renewed emphasis, I think, on outdoor spaces and trying to make the most of the spaces we have. And that fits in really nicely with our plans for the Crieff to Comrie Path and the Turret Bank Wood and everything we've got going there. But also making the most of the smaller parks that we have in Crieff and trying to start thinking about paths between them and cycling around town and safe routes to school. That's probably come out more than last time. And then the main thing which has really come out strongly this time has been the community interrelations, making sure that all the groups work like lots of hubs together, like lots of cogs together, rather than lots of disparate groups. Crieff is great, it's got a huge number of community organisations, but they don't always know what they're all doing. So I think that will be a real focus for us for the next phase.
So our action plan's been really interesting. Trying to get the community's input during a pandemic has been challenging, but the outputs have been really interesting and I think very clear what the priorities are for the community. So we're sitting here in these beautiful woods in Belmont Estate, and the development of Belmont Estate and the Belmont Castle for the community came out as a top priority, which I think everybody's really pleased about because it's such an amazing resource, and with the backing of the community and a lot of hard work going forward, hopefully that we can make sure that this stays in community hands and that we can develop both the woods and the house eventually as a major community resource. The other thing that came out clearly was the whole issue around health and well-being having paths that people can use and connecting the two communities of Meagle and Ardler. So making sure there's better public transport links, but also just joining up paths so that people can walk.
The community action plan that we put together, it will without a doubt benefit both the communities in our area in Strathmore. We feel it will bring people more together. They'll be able to talk about the various issues that are surrounding the area and come up with various ideas on how they can be resolved, because it shouldn't be just for the officers of the Community Council or the Development Trust. The action plan is there for the whole community.
So we're still in the process of doing these interviews, and there's definitely some strong themes coming through to do with facilities, particularly for sports groups and provision for families within the town, making sure that folk have what they need. Some of this has come about through the coronavirus pandemic, but not all of it, and there's great need in the town, but there's also a lot of feeling that people want to do some good.
Looking to the future, it is hoped that communities' own action plans will form the basis for their successful partnership working with public, private and third sector organisations, will be taken account of in other strategic plans and will help shape the use of budgets and funds so they are sensitive to community priorities. The Rural Perth and Kinross Community Action Plan programme hopes to foster and encourage these connections. The programme is also keen to support other communities that want to embark on their own community action plan journey